Now, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, thou shalt hear the word of my mouth and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
There we go. Hey, people. Hello, people. Hopefully you can hear that. All right, welcome everybody to today's edition of Bible News Radio. I am glad that you're here with us today, because what we're going to do is we are going to share with you. We're going to share with you how not to do that. Anyway, we're going to share with you our interview that we did earlier today with Dr. Jerry Newcomb from Coral Ridge Ministries. He is an author, a TV producer, a TV personality, a radio talk show host, podcaster. And his latest book is called American Amnesia. And if you happen to be on my text message list, we're doing a giveaway right now for that book, which you have till tomorrow. You can enter to get in. And here's the other thing. If you want to buy it at our website, you can get it at BibleNewsRadio.com. For a $30 donation, you can get the book American Amnesia. There it is, people.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't, people. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to talk a little bit. So I hope you, have a time to spend with us. Totally appreciate it. And, of course, Bareface is back with me today. He can give you a personal update, let you know how he's doing in a minute. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and share this out over on Facebook as well. Let's see here. And just as a special show note, we will not be broadcasting on Thursday or Friday this week, because we will be prepping for my father-in-law's memorial service and going to that. Also, let me remind you that, if you don't know, our sponsor is Ariel Ministries, and anytime you feel like you want to support our show, make sure you go to ariel.org, ariel.org. You can save 20% when you use that coupon code Bible News, which is extremely important. Here is Ariel. Which is extremely important to, what we do here at the show. So, there you go, people. All right, so there we go. I'm going to go ahead. I'm still going to share this out over on Facebook. I haven't done that yet. I was trying to do this, and the problem is that when I do this, you hear extra audio because I have to mute Facebook, and then it always unmutes itself, and then I have to mute it again. It's kind of a pain in the butt, actually. But that is okay. I will say hi to a couple of you in a minute after I share this out. Let's see here. I see Melanie is over on Facebook for a minute anyway. Usually she comes into Periscope. All right, so there we go. And I see Dr. John over on Periscope, and Gina, and also Natasha, Jonathan. You're on radio. Oh, good. And of course, we're not going to be here. That's a bummer. Pastor Garrett is here as well. Jordan and Jonathan are here. Thank you guys for coming in. Really appreciate it a lot. All right. Go ahead and do that there. Okay. All right. So everybody, hello. We're back for a day. Maybe tomorrow we'll be back here as well. I believe we are. So thank you for coming in. Obviously, the first thing I want to do is say thank you again for all of your prayers and your support in the last couple of weeks. It's been a couple of weeks, man. I'm just saying. my eyes are, I think, not as puffy as they have been, which is kind of nice. But hey, you know what? This is what the community of love and believers is about. That, you know, when one person needs love and comfort, you know, you guys typically come around and encourage us. And I think yesterday I had well over 100 condolence messages on my wall, which was a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, but you know, but very well appreciated. And so if you didn't see my mass thank you for everybody, I just want to say thank you again for supporting us and, you know, Randall. So Randall is probably going to come on here momentarily, and would you like to share your heart for a few minutes before we share the interview I did with Jerry this morning?
Share my heart. I don't know. This is one of those, you know, seasons of life. Most folks, if they live a few decades, well, even if not, you know, will lose their parents at some point in their lifetime. I'd say most people will, and this makes, you know, lost my mother, whatever, 28 years ago, something like that, and then my father just yesterday morning, and anyway, so it's one of those passages of life, I guess. I never really thought about it, you know. I guess when I thought about it in the past, I figured it'd be when I was in my 70s or something like that, or mid 60s, but close enough, I guess. Mid 50s. I'm happy for my dad. You know, he had several health issues and dealt with back pain and neck pain and other kinds of pain, and so now he's out of pain, and I don't mourn as those who have no hope. I do mourn a little bit because, you know, because he's gone. You know, I don't know. Like I say, I never really thought about my parents dying or had any visions of it, but, you know, I think maybe my dad would have liked to stick around a little longer, maybe to, I don't know. I don't know if there's closure or non-closure or what. You know, there wasn't any kind of official, you know, goodbye per se. You know, his health just took a turn for the worse suddenly. And so, anyway, I did have a chance to tell him I loved him while he was still responsive, and gave him a hug, and he did his best to hug me back when he was in the hospital. And so it's just kind of like a sense of a new chapter. Okay, it's like that's closed, and it's a different phase of life now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's still kind of close to really know what to make of it or analyze it much.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So very sorry to hear of your losing your father, says TR Fun Guy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
It is weird. I'm more emotional than I thought I would be. But it could also have to do with the fact that 2 other friends of mine died in the last 11 days. So, yeah. Very interesting life and death, isn't it? Kind of sucks. Death sucks. Life rocks. Death sucks. I posted over the weekend.
Tears and laughter mingle, joy and pain dance side by side.
You know what? You should play that song.
Yeah?
Yeah, you should find it and play it, because this is a Michelle Wagner song. Randall keeps quoting it. It's a great song, actually.
It is.
It's called Change, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, we can do that if you want. So here is, while Randall's trying to find that, let me share with you something surprising that I discovered. And if you guys haven't read my Facebook, then you don't know this yet. But completely off topic. But whatever, it's my show. I can do whatever I want, right? Yeah, loss does suck. Actually, it does. It does. Down with loss. Oh my gosh, it's the worst. But you guys know that I am a Legal Shield member, and hey, we have a story to share, maybe. But I'm also Ladies of Justice Legal Shield seller, as you guys know. And you guys know, like way back, I think it was November, I was like, hey, I want to win a trip to Cabo, right? Me and Bareface haven't been on a vacation in like 12 years or something. Just an actual vacation. So I was trying really hard in the beginning to win this trip to Cabo. And because I didn't sell anything in November and December, I was completely disqualified. I was not in the running at all, completely whatever. Well, this month in February, which is 19 days, and by the way, today is Randall's dad's birthday too, I might add. Very interesting that, today's his dad's birthday. He would have been 82, right?
Right.
One day short. But anyway, so this morning though, I was looking at my sheets for Legal Shield for the trip, and I'm in it. I'm actually in it. I am in the top 300, and I don't think you guys know what a big deal that really is. I mean, seriously, because I don't have any local help really. I have one guy I talk to occasionally, but I've never been to a local meeting. I am the only person producing anything in my downline at the moment. They're working on it, but here's the thing. I am 292 of 300. In order to win the Cabo trip, I have to be 249 or above, okay? And this is based on money that's earned, right? So basically sales. God has completely blew me away this month, though. I mean, completely. I've had death, a sale, a death, another sale, a sale, a death. So it's time for a sale. That's so weird. But anyway, so here's the deal. Look, you guys, I am this close to actually earning this trip to Cabo. Who would have thought, man? Not me in a million years. Oh, me of little faith, just saying. So here's the thing. If you have been on the fence about getting a Legal Shield membership or identity theft protection membership, now would be the serious time to do it. Because if you wait till next month, it's not going to count towards this trip because the qualification period for this ends the 28th. So it actually has to be in before the 28th of this month, which gives us about 10 days, give or take. Actually, 9 days. So I just throw this out there because I know some of you have said, hey, yeah, I'm kind of interested in blah, 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 blah. And so I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to even, get a membership and stuff, then contact me and let me know, okay? Because I can sign you up this month, and maybe we could just squeak on in there to Cabo, which would be totally cool. I mean, if that happened, I would be shocked, actually. I would be like, that is funny. I would. But I'm only about $160 away from sales memberships, which really means I need to sell, I think on the low end, it would have to be 4 actual memberships, full memberships. Which is a tall order from one person, actually, to be honest. But hey, you never know. If God wants us to do it, maybe some of you out there will go, "Hey, yeah, I've been waiting, and I'm no longer putting it off." So, I just thought I'd share that. Okay, you ready? You got the song yet?
No.
No?
No, it's not even listed on her website.
Really?
She's got a list of music, a collection which has like the first 2 albums on it. Pretty much all songs but that one.
Really?
Yeah, not on YouTube. So I don't know if
I have it.
I don't know if there's some sort of copyright issue with it. Maybe a co-writer and doesn't have permission. I don't know.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's in my iTunes, but which I don't have access to.
Wait a
from
minute.
here.
Hold on. I have iTunes. Let's see. I have it. Let me look. I'm looking through it right now. It's called Change, right?
Right.
Perfect timing. Safe place. Here it is. Got it. Nailed it. All right, you guys want to hear this song? This is a good song. This used to be one of my favorite songs. I mean, it's still one of my favorite songs, but I mean, years ago, I would play this song forever, like all the time. All right, so let's play it. This is called Change, and it's by Michelle Wagner. Listen to the words. It's very poignant. I might have to turn up the volume.
And I was hoping to find the lyrics online to display them, but I can't even find that.
Does sound right?
Yep.
Yep. Hopefully Facebook won't hate us. This is off from, it's a 1994 CD called Safe Place. You can tell it's an older recording.
Everybody has to face the irreversible. Birth, death, and wedding bells, it's undeniable. Tears and laughter mingle, joy and pain, and side by side. Drama follows drama as we wind our way through life. And even the mirror shows it.
Yeah, it does.
Nothing can stop the change. Oh, change. You live and learn. There's no need to return. God sets everything in motion. Change, go on. Never be afraid. You're not alone. For God is there in every change. Going through the growing pains, we're changing for the better. Through the laughter and the rain, it's working all together. There's no experience that ever goes to waste. Every passing minute is a precious thing to taste. So open your eyes to living. Open your heart to change. Oh, change. You live and learn. There's no need to return. God sets everything
So Michelle Wagner, she has a very interesting story. Actually, her background. She actually could have been, and I actually got an opportunity to tell her this. Actually, I think she's so talented that her lyrics to her songs, I thought that she could have made the level of Amy Grant. When she was in her heyday in the early 90s. But what I really appreciate about her is that her lyrics tell stories that really reach into homes that are dysfunctional. She had she had a family member that was an alcoholic, and she went through recovery, and she was trying to deal with that. And at one point, I think she was praying for a loved one that wasn't saved, and just very, very gracious lady, I thought. Anyway, yeah, another one of her favorites, my favorite songs of hers is The Reality Is You. It's a good song, too.
Is it her? Trying to think.
I know at your age it's hard.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it was her.
Yeah, it is.
Some we know that was in the CCM scene.
Yeah, it was her.
Well, no, but that he worked with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I know who you're thinking of.
Right.
That man that shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Because even right now I can't remember his name, but I know who he is.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I don't have it with me.
You don't?
No, I don't. I don't know what happened to it.
What don't you have?
American amnesia.
Bob.
The irony of it all. So, is that right? Hi, Bob. Hey, Bob is back.
That's good. Do you want me to throw up an image of it on the screen?
Sure. Unless you have anything else to share. Let's see here. Or should we do our Pillar of the Community thing and all that, or no?
Well, if you're so inclined. Wow, it's 24 after the hour already.
I know, time flies when you're with your bestie. That would
true.
be me.
Mm-hmm.
Me. Right?
Right.
Okay.
But
All right, so BibleNewsRadio.com is brought to you in part by Ariel Ministries, which we also mentioned already, but we can mention it again. There we go. And Bob is Team Randall, which means he's got good taste, because so am I. Anyway, you can also go over, you can use the coupon code Bible News, which we really appreciate you doing. Go to BibleNewsRadio.com, look at our resources page there, and you can click on that. American Amnesia is actually there on the page, that you can get that. Dr. Jerry Newcomb is a great man. He's got such a great radio voice, too. Anyway, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that book. And there's a number of other stuff out there that you can also look at if you'd like. If you want to donate to the show, feel free. Please do go to BibleNewsRadio.com/give. And those of you who already donate, thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. Yeah, we're blessed. We really are. And I already mentioned Legal Shield. If you want to join that, just get in touch with me and let me know. Okay, so earlier today I had an interview with Dr. Jerry Newcomb, because I made a promise to myself and him that I wouldn't wait another 6 years to have him on again. And I get his weekly column. And this week, actually, I guess was it earlier this week or late last week? I don't remember. Anyway, he had a column titled, gotta find it. You would think I'd know, right, people? But I literally just got home from my dad's.
I could tell you if you...
Yeah, here it is. What robot did you... Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. It's loading. For what robot did Jesus die? That's the title of it. It was published 2 days ago. So, and it's a really good article. I will tweet it out on Bible News Radio. I think I put it already on Facebook, my Facebook page there. But Jerry talks about that, as well as a little bit about the history of America and George Washington. So I had an opportunity to talk to him this morning for about I think it's 27 minutes technically. But let me just tell you a little bit about Jerry before we play the interview, because I didn't give him a thing. The quick bio of his is that he is a on-air host and senior producer for D. James Kennedy Ministries. He's written or co-written 31 books. Example, The Unstoppable Jesus Christ. American Amnesia, Is America Paying the Price for Forgetting God, which right now I'm doing a giveaway at on my text message list. By the way, you can text the term Bible News to 33222 and get on that list. Another book called What If Jesus Had Never Been Born? And the best-selling book, George Washington's Sacred Fire with Peter Lillback, another friend of mine. You can follow Jerry at jerrynewcomb.com, and that's JerryNewcombe.com. Okay, and his Twitter is Newcomb Jerry. I'm really having a hard time not going Nukem Jerry. That's not how you spell his last name, just so you know. Anyway, so we talked a little bit about this article, which is very interesting. And the whole idea, you guys have seen Joel Comm and his little robot dog named Skippy. And also you've heard us talk about in the past about the sex bots and how people, have these brothels now where you can have so-called intimacy with a robot, It's really completely degrading to the human person. Okay. Anyway, and this article is interesting. So he joined me this morning to talk about it. So we're going to play that for you. Sorry, it's just the graphic of me and, of him and all that. But there you go. So whenever Bareface wants to play it, go for it.
All right. Let's do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, we will.
Welcome back, Jerry, to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. A lot sooner than 7 years waiting.
Yeah. Good to be with you again. Yes.
Yeah. So, hey, when you were here last time, we talked about your new book, American Amnesia, a little bit. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that first before we talk about your latest column, which I find very interesting.
Sure. Well, American Amnesia is actually a compendium of more than 100 columns that I put together, and they follow an overall theme. Part one deals with our Christian roots as a nation and why it matters, and then part two is what we can do as citizens of goodwill, and especially active Christians, to try and be faithful and salt and light in our culture. And then the third part deals with the whole misunderstanding of church and state and the kind of militant secularism that we're dealing with today, where some people misconstrue what the founding fathers intended for America, and they're trying to drive God out of all the public arena. And it would not make sense if you looked at what George Washington did, for example, on the day in which he was inaugurated. So our first president, do you have half a minute to develop this point?
Oh yeah,
if that's all right. Okay,
yeah,
our first president, knowing that he would always be setting the precedent for all that was to come. Here he was in New York City at the time that was our capital, April 30, AD 1789. He gets sworn in on the Holy Bible, as was the custom of the day. He said the words, "So help me God," as was the custom of the day, and still is, for the oaths. He leans over and he kissed the Holy Bible, and then he gave his inaugural address, his first inaugural address, which mentions God several times and says that, frankly, we should be so grateful to the Lord for the ability to make this country to make our own government peaceably. And that's a really wonderful thing. Then he led all the key people from the government, his vice president, the cabinet, the family members, the House of Representatives members, the Senate members, the Supreme Court members, including John Jay, the Chief Justice. They all go over nearby to St. Paul's Chapel The building's still standing. I was there just last week. I didn't go inside it, but I was on the outside, near Broadway, and it's near Wall Street is the better way to say it. It's Wall Street, and anyway, they had a 2-hour Christian worship service where basically they dedicated the land, the country to the Lord. They even had communion, the Last Supper. The Lord's Supper rather, and Washington partook of the elements according to eyewitnesses that were there. And so this is a really beautiful thing. But I bring all this up because it's, today when you hear about, separation of church and state, separation of church and state, some people think that what the founders intended was this kind of, anti-God crusade that we're seeing. There's a cross, for example, a memorial cross made by the mothers who lost their sons in World War I, and they did this in Bladensburg, Maryland. Well, the Humanist Association is trying to tear down that cross because it's in a public place where it's seen in the public by the highway. By the way, when it was initially erected, that cross was on land owned by the American Legion. But when they made a highway, the government, through eminent domain, was able to legally get that land. And so now all of a sudden, you've got this cross, and it's on public land, but it wasn't always public land. It just happened to be that's where they put the highway. And these humanists are suing to get the cross torn down. And thankfully, the Supreme Court is at least willing to hear this case. Should this cross remain or should it not? And it's just another example of this ongoing anti-Christian crusade that we find in our culture in a country that was built by Christians for Christian purposes, for freedom for all, which they extended to all. And now that freedom is being denied Christians, the very one who made this country in the first place.
Yeah.
That's what American Amnesia is all about. It's all these kind of specific things, the Bladensburg Cross is in there, the George Washington, the inauguration, all that stuff is in the book, American Amnesia.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that you shared that because, I really strive to educate our audience with the truth of what our history is, not revisionist history. And last time you were on, just a couple of weeks ago, I got so much great feedback about you that I was like, I got to have you back a lot.
Well, you know where to find me.
Your weekly columns are really, really great. And I love the fact that you send them to me. And so your latest one, For What Robot Did Jesus Die? It really caught my attention. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that because I've followed the, artificial intelligence and also transhumanism a little bit, and how people are looking at that. And, it sounds nuts to people that there's an interaction between humanity and robots these days. But, is it really crazy?
Well, there are some claims that I hold in the column are exaggerated claims, but claims along the lines of that artificial intelligence will exceed humans, that they'll, make us extinct one day, that supposedly artificial intelligence will even replace God. And then there's even articles about people falling in love with robots and robots with people is just a matter of time. And I felt that these claims are just way too exaggerated. And I marshal as an expert, a man that has been studying artificial intelligence for years, and he's a professor at Baylor. And his name is Dr. Robert Marks, and he's one of the key people that I quote in the article. And if you saw the movie, maybe you're familiar with Ben Stein's movie called Expelled.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Okay, well, he was actually in that movie.
Okay.
He was the Baylor professor that had some problems and so forth. But let me go ahead and quote him from because I actually asked him directly for a quote about this. He said, "Those proclaiming that exclusive truth lives totally in naturalism Okay, in other words, let me stop right there. Those who only have an evolutionary worldview and they don't, view this world as something God created and to him we'll give an account and so forth. Okay, so those who only think naturalism is the truth are constrained to a sadly narrow view of the world. In their constrained silo, love and romance must have a materialistic explanation. Let me stop from his quote for a moment and just add, I remember one time there was one behavioral psychologist that was saying, what is love? It's basically when the bile is secreted, in the body. In other words, it's a bodily function or something like that. This was a materialistic explanation as opposed to the creator has created such a thing as love and so forth, and romance and feelings and so forth. All right, continuing with Dr. Marks. But computers, including AI, meaning artificial intelligence, are limited. They are all constrained to follow programmed instructions called algorithms. Things non-algorithmic are not computable. Human creativity, sentience, consciousness, and qualia are not computable. Can anyone write code to explain it to a computer your true sensory experience of enjoying hot, buttered, sweet corn? Sex with a human-appearing robot can be simulated. By the way, let me just stop right there. Unfortunately, there's already sex robot brothels. There's even a couple of them. I mentioned that actually in an earlier version of this column, and it got cut by the powers that be, which is fine. But, the fact that it exists is just crazy. Anyway, continue with Dr. Marks. But love and romance are not computable. Those married to the love of their lives for 40 years, like me, know this. End quote from Dr. Robert J. Marks of Baylor. By the way, I can also say, by the grace of God, I've also been married almost 40 years. It'll be 39 this coming June. But I think he makes a good point. And so that's in reference to the claim that sex robots are being used for pleasure, but also emotionally fulfilling relationships with machines is closer than you think. Romance with machines is a foregone conclusion, wrote one guy that I was responding to. He wrote an article called Robot Love.
Right.
And so anyway, so that's the first main claim that, there's robot love. But another main claim is that supposedly artificial intelligence, could spell the end of humanity or something like that. It's ridiculous. Stephen Hawking, brilliant man, but the late Steve Hawking, he said about AI, quote, the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. But Marx responded, I think that's just hyperbole. And I think the people who say those sort of things need to go back to the fundamentals and understand what computers can't do and can do. And if I may quote Marx at length again, he says, a computer will never be creative. It will never have consciousness. It will never have understanding. It only does what you tell it to do. They will never have a soul. They will never have an understanding of what they do. They will never have a consciousness. Computers can only do something which is algorithmic, a fancy word for recipe. You have to give a computer step-by-step instructions on doing something, just like a recipe.
Yeah, I love it. I love this. And by the way, everybody, if you don't know Dr. Newcomb, aka Jerry, actually has these two things that he just read are actually quoted in this week's article. And I have to say, I'm just going back to the first quote of Marx was, and the idea of sex with human appearing robot can be simulated, but love and romance are not computable. Those married to the love of their lives for 40 years, like me, know this. First of all, congratulations on almost being married 40 years.
Yes, thank you.
I know my husband and I are going to celebrate 27 this year, Lord willing. And my father-in-law, which my audience knows, he just passed away, but him and his wife were married for 47 years. And there was nothing more amazing to me than watching his wife caress his head and tell him how handsome he was as he was in a dying state, right? I mean, you cannot, you cannot like make that computer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That type of unconditional love does not come from, you're never going to get it from a robot, right?
Yeah.
And so I just look at that, and then I love this quote that you just said. A computer will never be creative. It will never have consciousness, and so on. It's all about the algorithm, really. And yet somehow these people seem to think that this is a good thing, that we can be connected in that way, and all that. But
and by the way, I mentioned at the end of the article, computers are and artificial intelligence. These are great tools, and even when jobs will get replaced sometimes by machines, yes, there's going to be an adjustment in the economy and so forth. But that is generally that is a good and positive thing. I remember talking with my dad one time when we were talking about just labor force in general. And he said, there are some people who complain about, let's say, a steam shovel will replace 10 ditch diggers. Okay. All of a sudden those 10 ditch diggers are out of a job, but now there's only 2 jobs, one for the guy who's running the steam shovel and then the other for the guy who's maintaining the steam shovel. And there's probably a third one for the guy who's selling the steam shovels and so forth. But anyway, some people have less work. And he said, well, Jerry, what if instead of having 10 workers with shovels, why not have 30 workers, but give them all spoons, and then they could have more work because they could do the digging instead of the steam shovel or instead of those men with the shovels. So, I mean, in other words, there's always an adjustment with technology. And yes, technology in the short run may cause some people to lose their jobs and so forth, but it's just like the phrase, grow or die, I mean, that's not a literal saying. That's a saying in a business, grow or die, reinvent yourself. And I think just career-wise and life-wise, it's good advice to kind of adapt to the circumstances involved. And people do need to do that. If for example, some machines will do repetitive behaviors or repetitive motions or whatever, and they end up costing some people at the jobs at McDonald's or something like that, is that a bad thing? Well, I mean, I think using that analogy about the steam shovels and the shovels versus the spoons, it just, there's a progress involved in that. And I think what's important is for, try and help people as much as possible adjust to these kinds of circumstances. Somebody's going to need to run those machines to do those things. But don't assign to computers, something beyond their value. As I said, for which robot did Jesus die?
Well, yeah. And
the answer is none.
Exactly. And, this is the thing that I find really interesting, though. I mean, we know that there are these sex brothel thingies out there, right? Which really, I mean, I look at it.
It's so degrading.
It's completely degrading, but not only is it degrading, but it's completely a mockery of the enemy to the image of God and humanity, that they would, devalue themselves that much that they would do that. And yet I have to say, I have a friend, excuse me, who, and this is kind of on the same route, he recently bought a robot dog, and he named it Skippy. And I forgot what the actual name of it is, but he's pretty popular in live streaming, and he's got a big following, and he introduced his robot dog Skippy. And the reason why he got the dog, this robot, which I can't even remember the ridiculous amount of money he spent, is because he's a speaker, and so he travels a lot, and he couldn't get an actual dog because he didn't want to leave the dog behind so much. So in order to fulfill that need for a companion, he bought this robot dog, and he named it Skippy, and was showing everybody how Skippy works. What do you think of that type of technology? Intimacy with people. It's not a sexual thing, but it's also it's a it's you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow. At least you wouldn't have to take the dog out and, have it do its duty in the night or something, or in the morning. I mean, that's just,
this dog
that is bizarre. You know what? That's almost more of a novelty to me. That's almost like the kind of thing where, hey, let me show you what my new toy does, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, and I think that's what he means it to be too. But at the same time, this dog is crazy. It can bark, it can fetch, it can roll over. I mean, it can follow and walk on its own all over the place and do. If
somebody saw it from afar, would they think, like a block away, would they think it was a real dog?
Unless they're visually impaired, probably not, because it's very shiny.
Oh, I see.
If you put a sweater on it, maybe.
Yeah. Well, whatever it takes, it's a free country, it's a free world, but my only comment is, not to overstate what these things are and what they can do. So, for example, going back to the column, I even quote the man who wrote the book, The Da Vinci Code. And that book is very anti-Christian. Dan Brown wrote that. And he said about artificial intelligence, he makes a claim that's just absolutely ridiculous. He's basically saying AI will one day replace Jesus. He says, quote, humanity no longer needs God, but may, with the help of artificial intelligence, develop a new form of collective consciousness that fulfills the role of religion. Are we naive today to believe that the gods of the present will survive and be here in 100 years? End of quote. Well, here's my comment to him. If, we're still around 100 years from now, in other words, Jesus hasn't come back, I guarantee you, Dan Brown, that people all over the world will still be worshiping Jesus Christ because he rose from the dead. He walked out of his tomb on April 5, AD 33. Nobody can make the claim about any religious leader, dying for our sins and rising from the dead and being fully God and fully man in the same person. And so bottom line is artificial intelligence is something man creates. And of course, God created. And in some ways, Stacy, you could almost even argue that artificial intelligence glorifies God in this sense, that God's creation, humanity, is so great and so complex and so intricate that the Lord would give us the ability to create machines that could do such marvelous things, even like that little Skippy dog or whatever, that man could create that just glorifies God. To me, when I see a beautiful skyscraper or beautiful building or something man has created, you think about all the thinking that went behind that. Well, ultimately, it's man that we owe our allegiance to God, who was the one who made us, and yet we're able to do that and even create something like that. I think that's beautiful. But I don't think we should take computers and almost humanize them to the point where we basically lose our own humanity. And I don't think the average person even thinks in these terms. It's just some intellectuals that do. And I thought it was really good of Dr. Marks to provide this kind of corrective to our thinking to make us realize, no. Computers really don't have creativity. They do what you tell them to do.
Right. Well, and I think even going back to the whole idea of artificial intelligence, I think the word artificial there is it's very descriptive.
Key.
Because, it takes an intelligence, going back to Ben Stein's, artificial intelligence or whatever, expelled.
No intelligence allowed. Yeah.
It's kind of like, I try to tell my audience all the time, look, you know what? There are different points of view on issues of the day, but you're not being allowed to hear them in the mainstream media. They won't let you know what's really going on because they choose not to publish it, right? I mean, the Psychological Association is a perfect example of that. It is so political and so liberal that they won't publish anything that's contrary to their agenda. And then of course the sciences and the, I had you'll find this interesting. I had a friend who, she is a X-ray. I forgot the actual name of her job, but she does X-rays on people. Some X-ray technician, and it's a different name, but basically this is part of it. She had a person come into her clinic not too long ago. It was a woman who was potentially pregnant. They had a issue with her, and they needed to do an X-ray.
Sonogram? Okay, X-ray, yeah.
Yeah, they had to do an X-ray on her. But in order to do the X-ray, they had to verify her gender. Well, the woman refused to say that she was a female and said, I am a male. And because I'm a male, there's really no need for you to do this because I'm not pregnant. And it created a ethical dilemma for my friend and the staff, because clearly this woman was a woman and they couldn't actually do the procedure that they needed to do until this woman who was pretending to be a man actually said, yes, you can go ahead and do that. Because if they decided to do the procedure and it turned out that she was pregnant, then there could be some type of lawsuit.
Yeah.
I mean,
think how selfish that is too, though. For this person, they're so committed to their ideology of the transgender issue and so forth that they're willing to put at risk the life, the future, the health of the unborn baby, if there indeed was an unborn baby involved in this.
Right.
Gosh, it's just so selfish. And it's so crazy. This whole transgender issue, that's a totally different thing, but I guess
I know,
ultimately we have to get back to and this is another point I made in the article, that we have to get back to realize that humanity is made in the image of God, and we derive inherent value because of that fact. Male and female, God created us. That's why we have to, always get back to the basics, when it comes to what the Bible says about what we are. And you know what? People are of so much value to the creator of the universe that in the fullness of time, God himself became a human being in the person of Jesus Christ, and then lived a perfect life, and then died for us in our place, offering himself as a sacrifice for our sins so that we wouldn't receive the due penalty of our sins. Harm Jesus Christ, knowingly reject Jesus Christ, need to realize that when you die, you will be punished for your sins because you would not let Jesus Christ receive the due penalty of your sins. And being penalized by him, punished by him, means being cast from his presence. And, people say, well, what is that? Well, obviously it's hell. Hell is not just the absence of Jesus Christ. People forget the fact that Jesus is now here. That's why you can see. That's why there's light. You can drink water, but in hell there's thirst, but no water available. In hell there's no light. There's the only light that's there is whatever lights from the fire and the brimstone. I mean, it sounds terrible. Mm-hmm. It sounds so antiquated and so forth. But this is what's revealed in the Bible, and it's never been changed. Why does anybody think that, Jesus has somehow revised his code because it's no longer politically correct? What is true is all that matters, and what is biblically true is far more important than what is politically correct.
Amen. Amen to that, my friend. Amen. All right. Well, I know that you and me could talk a long time, but we should wrap this up.
Surely, absolutely. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead and just tell people where they can get your book and read your columns and stuff, and we'll. Yeah,
I sure. Thank you. I put it all at jerrynewcombe.com. Newcombe is spelled Newcombe. I put the columns there. I've got a banner on the top about the book American Amnesia and other books. There's I've written 31 that I've written or co-written, and I've columns, produce radio programs that I do, all kinds of different television segments I produce for D. James Kennedy Ministries or documentaries and so forth. It's all there. I put it all there in the one website, jerrynewcomb.com.
Very cool. All right, everybody, go there. Go to jerrynewcomb.com, and we will be talking to you soon.
Yeah, we will. Okay. How's that, huh?
Can't hear you very well.
Oh, can't. Want me to turn it up? That higher? That's full blast. So.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
That's good.
All right. Okay. So, that was it. That was our interview with Dr. Newcomb. Dr. Jerry Newcomb. He's a very nice guy, actually. And I highly recommend any of his books. His columns are easy to read. During that interview, I went ahead, I tweeted it out on my Bible News Radio Twitter account. And Randall, were you listening to the conversation?
Yes, I was.
What'd you think? I love instant feedback. I got a little bit during the interview, but what'd you think of what he had to say?
Yeah, totally. You know, I would differ a little bit on the idea of the potential. I know it's not going to happen because biblical prophecy, duh. But
right.
I think I see the point of the opinion that the potential of artificial intelligence to replace humanity. And I would say, well, not in the sense that, no, any machine, any kind of programmed machine, whether it be, have advanced machine learning or not, is not going to be a complete substitute for, is not going to be able to mirror human emotion and consciousness and blah, blah, blah. But I could see potentially, theoretically, a point where by giving more and more or delegating and resigning more and more things to technology, be it your artificial intelligence dog, your Aibo or your sex bots or whatever.
I love Joel Hom.
Yeah. Whatever these things are, I could see them going past novelty and continuing to devalue the human experience and replacing, not successfully, but substituting or more exchanging. There's a better idea. There's a better word. Exchanging the technology, exchanging technology for human value.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it today with these devices we hold in our hands, how much time that we exchange for this virtual experience and so much valuable human interaction goes by the wayside, is discarded in favor of this really non-valuable technology experience.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool.
It is.
Well,
it's kind of depressing, actually.
I know it is, but I think the conversation is interesting, and I think it's worth having, and I think the
Definitely.
shows and the things that he talks about.
I mean, the whole Unabomber, that was his thing. Bad solution, but he went around basically killing technology specialists because of the fear of that very thing, that technology supplanting the human experience.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. Way more nuanced than that, but there you go.
Yes. I should say hi to some people that came in. I saw Pastor Tommy come in. Annie is here. Hi, Annie. I know Mama Gina's in here. She's been making some good comments about the siliconeness of these robots and said that she said he is a great guest, like his points and views. You'll like his book if you get his book. Diane came in. Pastor Garrett is here. I think I already said that Melanie is over here. Diane is here. The faithful Bible News Radio people. Thank you and good night. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. Looks like Rick Costa just went live on Facebook. He's probably also on Periscope at this point as well. But anyway, okay, so just to give you a recap, tomorrow we're going to be doing our program at our normal time. Thursday and Friday we will not be doing a show because we got to go out of town to Randall's dad's memorial service. So we won't have time to do the show because of the time that we're doing that. So pray for good weather because like we're getting supposedly 9 inches of rain here in the next couple of days. And it was coming down pretty good earlier. Right now, though, I looked on the thing and it shows that it's not supposed to actually be raining on Thursday or Friday, but you never know. This is Tennessee. It does what it wants. So, all right. So, yeah. So that's it. I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope that you you know, I hope this show helped you somehow. I don't know what else to say, people. All right. I'll see you tomorrow morning for our Get Slugged time. And don't forget to enter our contest on my text message list, okay? If you haven't on there, if you're not on there yet, text the term Bible News to 33222. Randall's father died, Annie, yesterday. And actually today's his birthday. So interesting, you know, turn of events, actually. So, yeah. So, I guess that's it. So, you guys remember to be bold, to stand up, and to go with God because He loves you. Yeah, He does. So, we'll see you tomorrow.